Okay, enough with the Cavalli music. We're going to go, we are live now, but we're going to start the broadcast formally only at 2:30, so we're about 8-9 minutes away from that. I see there are 2 viewers already. Let me just tell you that if you have questions, you can submit them over this application. I can read them, and I'll do my best to answer them. And perhaps in your questions, if you feel so inclined, you can reveal who you are as well. But just hang on in there. We'll wait for a few more people to join us. I see we're up to 3 viewers now. We still won't start formally till 2:30. And just to remind people that I will be taking questions during the course of this webinar. So if you have them, please feel free to submit them. And I do have the wherewithal to read your questions, so I'll try and address them in the course of the webinar. In the meantime, I might just continue to play some of this Cavalli music, because my face is not enough to command your attention. I'm hoping the signal is loud and clear, by the way. If my voice isn't clear, can you let me know via your questions function? And I'll see what I can do to alter volume and various other facts. Now we're down to 2 viewers. We will be returning at 2:30. Still 5 minutes away. I see we've now dropped to just 1 viewer. Hang on in there, 1 viewer. Hopefully we'll be joined by many more at or around 2:30 when this webinar will officially start. Okay. And now we're back to 3. I don't know if these are the same 3 viewers who I spoke with about 5 minutes ago, but please feel free to submit your questions. Once the webinar formally starts in about 4 or 5 minutes, I will try to answer as many questions as I possibly can, in addition to giving you a presentation about academics at Ashoka. So start devising your questions. You can send them to me, and they'll appear on my right-hand side, and I can, as if by magic, try and respond to them. And if you possibly could, if you are so inclined, do reveal who you are. Still 3-4 minutes away from starting. I'll be right back. Oh, good. We're up to 11 viewers. That's becoming a bit more like it. We'll still wait another couple of minutes, and then we'll formally start. I see Janvi Datta has said hello, and Oritra. Hi to both of you. Hello to the other 11 or so people who are out there. But very nice to know that you're here. We're about a minute away, so make yourselves comfortable. Get yourselves glasses of Nimbu Pani, because I know it's pretty hot. At least it is in Delhi. They were predicting 47 degrees today. I'm figuring out how this works, but I've just clicked on your statement, Aritra. So that means I'm currently answering it. Oh, hi, a bunch of other people. Hi, Pooja, and hi, Ritika. Glad to have you here. So I think we might get started now formally. It is 2:30 in India, and I should explain to you, in case you're wondering where I am, because out the window, as you'll see, it's night. I'm doing this webinar from Brisbane in Queensland, Australia. I'm here for a week at the University of Queensland on a fellowship. But through the miracle of internet technology, I can be beamed straight into your living room or your bedroom or wherever you might be to talk with you today about academics at Ashoka. So I hope that you are all comfortable, that you have cool drinks, that you have air conditioning or ceiling fans, and that you're not dying of heat wherever you are. Hi Gautam, good to see you too. So there are quite a few people identifying themselves now. This is good to see. So, in case you're wondering who I am, I'm Jonathan Gil Harris. I'm Professor of English at Ashoka University, but I'm also Dean of Academic Affairs, which means I'm the person that you're going to be seeing the most of in connection with the academic programs. I'm also responsible for the Office of Student Life. There is a Director of Student Life, Rashmi Singh, who's been in touch with you, but her office is part of the larger Office of Academic Affairs. So I'll be around quite a bit. If you choose to come to Ashoka, you'll certainly be seeing a lot of me. So today, I just want to give you a sense of what the Ashoka experience is going to be like from an academic point of view. I'm sure many of you have already a fairly good idea of what you might study at Ashoka in terms of major courses. And even if you haven't picked a major course, that's absolutely fine. Many of our students are still confused about what they might major in. And as I'll talk about in some detail soon, you in fact don't have to declare a major specialization if you're admitted to Ashoka until the end of your second year. Unlike other Indian universities where you're admitted specifically to study one subject, whether it's economics or English or history or sociology or mathematics or physics, at Ashoka you will simply be admitted to the university and you've got 2 years in which to work out which subject you'd like to specialize in. So I'm going to start by just asking you all to, if possible, identify yourself. I see that Aritra is here, Pooja Srivastav is here, Mathura, this is the famous Mathura who goes by Arutam on Facebook. It's good to see you the right way round. It's good to see you the wrong way round too. Gautam is here, Janavi is here, Ritika is here. Thank you for revealing who you are. And if anyone else wants to communicate with me, you can do so by using the questions function. I'll do my best to answer questions you have, and I'm sure you will have many once I start speaking about the program. And Kshitij is here too. Hi there. It's good to see names that I know from the Facebook page. I'm looking forward to talking with you more today. So, I'm going to start off by giving you a presentation. I'm new to all of this, so bear with me if there are a few burps and bumps along the way. But my image is about to disappear and a PowerPoint presentation should appear now. So, okay. Ashoka Academics Webinar. What courses will I be taking at Ashoka? That's a question I presume many of you have. And I want to just talk you through what exactly these courses will be, if I can get this to work. Okay. So the first thing you should know is that at Ashoka, it's a 4-year program. I think most of you are aware of this, but it's a 4-year program, and it's basically divided up into 2 sections of 2 years each. The first 2 years are devoted primarily to establishing your intellectual and academic breadth through the foundation courses. And the last 2 years are devoted primarily to establishing your academic depth through your major course of specialization. Now, both foundation and major courses will meet for 4 hours a week. There'll be 3 hours of lectures with the professor and 1 hour of tutorial a week led by a teaching assistant. I should stress that our lecture courses are not going to be lecture courses as they are anywhere else in India. Normally what happens in India, I've noticed from sitting in on classes here, as well as teaching a few myself, that the expectation is that the professor is basically a sage on a stage, right? He or she is up there on a podium and he speaks at considerable length, imparting the information that you need in order to pass your exam. Information that you do not question, information that you faithfully take down with an eye to regurgitating it come exam time. You're meant to mug up the correct answers and deliver them as these answers were delivered to you. Now, lectures at Ashoka aren't going to be like this. Yes, there will be a certain amount of information that your professors will communicate to you in the course of lectures. But even lectures will be, to a large extent, discussion-oriented. Because one thing we really insist on at Ashoka is that your education is a complete waste of time if you are not an active participant in it. And we are very, very invested in getting you used to entering into conversation, not just with faculty, with professors like me, but also with your classmates. So you can expect in lectures for there to be quite a bit of discussion, not just with the professor, but even group discussion amongst students. But in foundation courses, the lectures will consist of groups of 50 students with the professor. The discussion tutorials are a little bit different because then any class of 50 subdivides into 2 groups of 25. Each will be assigned a teaching assistant as a discussion facilitator or moderator. And in those discussion tutorials, you will be doing much more sort of hands-on work with each other. Okay? Now, after the foundation and major courses, in the 4th semester of the 2nd year, you'll complete the internship of the Ashoka Quest. And again, this is something that many of you may know quite a bit about. But this is an internship that is very different from anything that you will encounter elsewhere. It's not one of these nonsense internships where you make cups of tea for some guy in a suit, and then you get to write a line item in your resume, your CV, saying interned at such and such. This is instead an academically integrated internship where you will leave campus, you'll live off campus for a year and work on a mentored project in a group. The group will largely, most likely consist of 3 or 4 other students, and you will be attempting, pardon me, during the course of the semester to work out a problem of some kind. And the courses, the foundation courses you'll have taken will help you sort of think through elements of that problem. You could be in a village thinking about water sanitation issues. You could be in a basti in Delhi thinking about food supply or gender issues. You could be in the corporate sector thinking about problems of organizational management, etc. There are a number of possibilities for this. And you will only declare your major, and Ashoka is very different this way, once you've completed your Ashoka Quest internship. Okay? So the first 2 years will be focused on breadth through foundation courses. The second 2 years will be focused on depth through your major courses. And the slice in the sandwich between the foundation courses and the major courses is your internship. In addition to the major courses and the foundation courses and the internship, there's something that we're calling the co-curricular courses. And I know this will be of interest to many of you because I've seen your backgrounds, and I know that a number of you have passions that go far beyond what you are thinking you might specialize in academically. Ritra, this certainly applies to you, for instance. So the co-curricular courses are evening courses in the arts. We'll be offering courses in theatre, in music, in dance, and visual arts. And the co-curricular courses will meet only once a week, unlike the major courses and the foundation courses. And these once-a-week meetings will last 2 hours. They'll consist of a mixture of lecture, practice, etc. So now I get to put up a map for you, which is a bit more colourful and interesting to look at. Here are the foundation courses. I imagine a lot of you have already browsed these on the Ashoka website. But I just want to put these in some kind of context. So at the top of the foundation, in red, is the course called Introduction to Critical Thinking. That's our gateway foundation course. At Ashoka, you'll have a great deal of choice about which courses you take and when you take them. But a gateway course is a course that everyone is required to take in their very first semester. So that's the one absolute requirement. If you come to Ashoka, you and everyone else who will be coming to Ashoka will take Introduction to Critical Thinking. It's a very important course socially as well as academically, because this is the one course in which you'll be all together as a cohort. although the course will be divided up into 4 separate sections taught by different professors. But everyone will have an experience of Introduction to Critical Thinking in their first semester. Now, this is the first of a sequence of 3 courses. In your second semester, you will develop some of the skills that you've acquired in the introduction course from the first semester in what we're calling the first critical thinking seminar. So everyone will take a critical thinking seminar in the second semester. However, they won't necessarily take the same critical thinking seminars. We'll be offering about 15 different ones in a variety of different subjects, ranging from literature, history, and philosophy, through economics, psychology, sociology, political science, to mathematics and computer science. So this is a chance for you to apply some of the skills of thinking, and in particular we emphasize communication and writing in these courses, to a more narrow discipline, or rather, it's not even a discipline, it's a topic. So the critical thinking seminar in English, for example, might be on, say, travel writing or on Indian poetry. It's a topic that will be devised by whatever faculty is teaching that particular seminar. But you will be writing very closely, you will be writing a number of essays about this particular topic, and it will give you a sense of the discipline. In your third semester, you'll take another critical thinking seminar, and perhaps in an entirely different discipline. You may have taken English in the second semester, you may want to experiment with computer science or with economics in your third semester critical thinking seminar. Pardon me, I picked up a bad cough en route from Delhi to Australia. So, now the blue courses are the other foundation courses, and you'll be expected to take these other courses at some point in your first 3 years. Most of them you'll have taken by the end of your second year, but some of them you might still be taking in your third year. But the sequence in which you take these courses depends on a couple of things. First of all, which courses you want to take and when you want to take them. And secondly, demand. Because we'll be running a certain number of sections of each of these other foundation courses. A lot of students may want to take, for instance, Foundations of Economics, but we will only be able to accommodate 100 students in the first semester for Foundations of Economics. So that means that some people who have wanted to take Foundations of Economics in the first semester may have to wait till the second semester. But what we're trying to do is to create an environment that will give you something of a taste of what it means to be at a liberal arts university, where the liberal means an element of choice. You will have to take those critical thinking seminars and lecture courses in the order I've suggested, but the other foundation courses you will be able to take in whichever order you choose, depending on demand and availability. Okay. I won't talk you through the content of these courses. If you've got questions about that, I'll come back to that later. But you'll see that these foundation courses, as I've said, they're designed to give our students depth. And I want to stress one thing here. Sorry, they're designed to give our students breadth. And I want to stress one thing here, that these foundation courses are not introductions to major specializations. They're preparations for life. These courses are meant to give you skills, the skills that we want any Ashoka student to graduate with. You may hate maths. You may have always hated maths, but we still feel it is very important for you to graduate with some sense of mathematical thinking. And those of you who are maths phobic might be surprised to find out that the way in which our foundation course and Introduction to Mathematical Thinking is taught, it is designed to appeal to non-experts as well as experts. It's not going to be a course that is all about calculations and solving problems. It's instead a course about the beauty of mathematical forms and numbers and the necessity of being able to master these forms and numbers in order to cope with the vicissitudes of life. this applies just as much to the other foundation courses as well. You don't need to be an expert in economics to do foundations of economics. You may never have taken an economics course, you may never take one again, but you need some exposure to foundations of economics in order to be able to cope with a world in which economic thinking is integral to not only success in the workplace, but also to functioning as a citizen who has to pay bills, who has to budget, etc. So maybe we can come back to the content of these foundation courses later, but the emphasis here is, as I've suggested, on breadth, to prepare you, to give you a platform for life beyond being at Ashoka. Now I'm going to break things down semester by semester, particularly your first few semesters at Ashoka. So this is what the first semester will look like. You'll definitely take the Introduction to Critical Thinking course. That's compulsory. But then, because everyone has to take 4 courses per semester, you have the choice of 3 other courses that you can take. Now, you can take 3 foundation courses if you want, any 3 foundation courses, but you also have the option of taking, in addition, a co-curricular course in the evening. It could be in theatre, it could be in music, it could be in dance, it could be art. So that's the first semester. Note here that as of now, you're not yet taking major courses, okay? In the first semester, we're just going to be offering foundation courses to our students. In the second semester, things change slightly. Again, there's one compulsory course that you'll have to take, that critical thinking seminar, but you have choice about which critical thinking seminar it is. It could be in economics, it could be in mathematics, it could be in English, it could be in philosophy, it could be in history, it could be in any of the major disciplines that we offer at Ashoka. Then what do you do with your other 3 courses? Remember, you have to take 4 courses per semester. You can either take 2 more foundation courses and a major course, or you can opt to just continue taking foundation courses and take 3 foundation courses on top of the critical thinking seminar. And again, you can take an optional co-curricular course in theatre, music, dance, or art. The third semester, the first semester of your second year, again, you're taking a critical thinking seminar, again, in a topic of your choice. Again, you're taking 3 other courses, which could be either 3 foundation courses or 2 foundation courses and a major course. And again, you have the option of taking 1 co-curricular course in theatre, music, dance, or art. Things change rapidly once we get to the 4th semester, when you start the quest, the internship in the social or the corporate sector, working with a group of fellow students in a mentored environment. You'll be living off campus at that point, and you will be coming back occasionally to take workshops, to receive advice from teachers, but for the most part, your classroom will be outside of Ashoka. After you've finished your quest, that's when you have to declare your major specialization. You may know what it is long before you come to Ashoka, but we're asking you to hold off on explicitly declaring your major specialization until the end of your second year. That gives you a bit of time to experiment, to take risks, to explore subjects that you've never taken before, but you think you might be interested in. And it often happens, it certainly happened to me when I was an undergraduate, that a subject that you thought you had no interest in grabs you, either because the faculty are that good, and believe me, many of the faculty at Ashoka are going to be that good, or because the subject speaks to you in a way that it couldn't have when you were just a high school student. After you've declared your major is when you will start specializing in your major subject. You will need to finish any remaining foundation courses by the end of your 3rd year, but you will have to finish 12 major courses by the end of your 4th year. You'll also be taking 4 elective courses in any subject you want, and you can take even more than 4. You can move up to 6 if you want to take a minor course of study, and I'm sure you'll have questions about that. We can come back to those later. And throughout your time at Ashoka, you will always have the option of taking more co-curricular courses. I should just add one thing about these co-curriculars. They are worth half as many credits as the major and foundation courses. So if you take enough co-curricular courses, you can end up with a minor in performing in visual arts, and I know that's something that a few of you are interested in. So let me try and get my picture up now. And I hope this works. Yes, I am now live, and hopefully you can see me. There are a few new names up here. Swati, Kratika, very good to see you at last, Kratika. So if you have explicit questions, hi Shivangi, good to see you. Ashna, and a few others here. Aditya, hi. Samiksha, hello. And Sarayu Krishnan. Good to have you all here, and there are a number of other viewers I see. We're up to 28. So if you've joined late, you may be a little bit puzzled by the PowerPoint presentation that I've just walked everyone through. So this is the point at which I think I'd like to start fielding explicit questions about the academic program and what it will entail. So hopefully by now you've got the general picture. Let me recap that at Ashoka we're offering a 4-year undergraduate program. This is very different from the standard 3-year Indian program. Many people ask, why offer a 4-year program when at other universities 3 years is enough to get a bachelor's degree? There's several answers to that question. The first is that we feel the 3-year program as offered at other universities is simply not intensive enough to prepare you for the world. It's certainly not enough to prepare you for graduate study, and this is a huge disadvantage many Indian students have to confront, that they finish their BAs, they want to go overseas for further studies, but they're not eligible because you have to have 16 years of study to qualify for graduate study in America, at least. That means 12 years at high school level and 4 years at undergraduate level. Kratika, I see you are asking me to put this on full screen mode, and I'm not quite sure how to do this. I thought it was full screen. Let me see if there's anything I can do here. Bear with me, everyone. We're having one of those technical glitches that an elderly professor like me finds hard to make sense of. Okay, this is about as full screen as I can make it now. Is it coming across as full screen to you? I hope so. Okay, so we're offering a 4-year program also because we think it's important not just to give people training in one track, but we want to give you a multidisciplinary education that gives you breadth as well as depth. And our desire is pricked by one very pressing reality that comes from the workplace. Employers increasingly are finding that Indian students who have just done 3 years of study at a university, even if it's a prestigious IIT or at DU, that students who've taken just one course of study at a 3-year institution are insufficiently prepared for the demands of the workplace. That they're primarily insufficiently versatile as thinkers, questioners, and problem solvers. So by expanding our program to 4 years, we are hoping to give you the skill set that you need in order to either advance to graduate studies overseas, if that's what you choose to do, or to be much more legible to recruiters and employers as someone who has had the requisite breadth as well as depth of training that will allow you to be a much more versatile worker and a better communicator. Now, our 4-year program is divided up into very broadly 2 sections. The first 2 years are devoted to cultivating breadth, and the second 2 years to cultivating depth in a field of major specialization. Now, even though I've suggested that there are these 2 parts to the 4 years, it's not quite as clear-cut as that may seem, because in your first 2 years you can still start to take courses in your subject of specialization for your major. And in your last 2 years you can still be taking, or at least in your 3rd year, you can still be taking some of the foundation courses that are required at Ashoka. So there's potential for a little bit of overlap. But I think, as those of you who are around for the first part of the webinar will have realized, the important thing for us is that you do not declare a major specialization until you've finished the Ashoka Quest internship at the end of your 4th semester. So that means 2 things. First of all, you have 2 years in which to experiment, to take risks, to try out subjects you've never taken before. But also, the experience that you have acquired in the real world, outside of the bubble of the university, working on your Ashoka Quest internship, will hopefully have given you a better sense of what it is you want to do with your major specialization. So many 16-year-olds are forced to declare a specialization that they're committed to then for life, through university and then into a career. And we think that this comes much too early in Indian students' lives, this demands that they specialize. Because, amongst other things, you simply haven't had that much exposure to the real world. So we're thinking that a major specialization is something that you should make in the most informed way as possible after you've had that exposure, both to various disciplines in the foundation courses, but also to real-life work experience in the internship. So more people are joining now. We've got 29 viewers. I see Mrinalini has joined us. Hi, Mrinalini. And a few others who I think I didn't mention before. Sarayu I've already said hello to, and Swati. So good to have you all here. So I'm seeing some questions now. One from Kratika. Kratika is asking, what would the testing pattern be like? So by this, Kratika, I presume you mean examinations, examinations at the end of a course, right? So let me make a general statement and then answer your question. We at Ashoka are quite suspicious of exams. We're certainly suspicious of what the Indian high school system has turned exams into, and we're suspicious too of what Indian universities do with the aftermath of the high school examination system. We do not believe that examinations test much more than your ability to take an exam on a certain day at a certain time. You are not the same as your score. Now, on the other hand, we do know that scores do provide a certain amount of information about how serious a student is. But we'd like to think that there are all sorts of other indicators too of academic performance. So here is the shocking statement. Some professors are not going to have exams at all in their courses. Instead, they're going to rely almost primarily on continuous assessment over the course of a semester. And the continuous assessment will be based on several metrics, which include class participation. We do place a great deal of emphasis on your ability to enter into conversation with faculty and other students, but also writing. There's going to be an enormous amount of writing at Ashoka, and there's a reason for this. We feel right now that Indian students are losing competitive edge in the global market because they've not been trained to write clearly. I've seen this for myself. I've had so many brilliant students in class who are terrific when you ask them questions, with lots of information at their fingertips, who are often inventive thinkers. But when it comes to committing their thoughts to writing, they struggle. And I'm talking here not just with syntax and grammar, but with the basic architecture of putting together an argument. Some of you may be familiar with Amartya Sen's book, The Argumentative Indian. Are you familiar with that? Amartya Sen, one of India's greatest economists, but also a great social commentator. He has this terrific book called The Argumentative Indian, which is about this rich tradition of debate and argumentation in India. Now, my riposte to Professor Sen is that yes, there are lots of argumentative Indians, and thank goodness for that. This is one of the things that I most cherish about Indian culture. But the argumentative Indian, for some reason, disappears as soon as people enter the classroom. People are taught to be docile because they're taught simply to mug up answers for exams. So we want to harness the argumentative Indian in productive ways, and more than that, what we want to do is create argumentative Indians who also know how to put together arguments in writing and in speech. So you will be assessed a lot on your essay writing. You will learn skills of essay writing in the Introduction to Critical Thinking Gateway course, which all of you will have to take in the first semester. And you'll hone these skills in the critical thinking seminars in the second and third semester. So that answers your question in part, Kratika. The testing pattern will be, to a certain extent, slightly unorthodox, inasmuch as there won't be standard tests from semester to semester in each course. In any case, the emphasis will be placed not on testing, but on your ability to organize your thoughts in speech and writing. If you've got a follow-up question about that, Kratika, please do send it my way. But now I'm going to turn to, I think it's Mathura's question, the mysterious Arutam from the Facebook founding page, who only just outed herself as spelling her name backwards on Facebook. Her name is really Mathura. She asks, how would the double major program work? Would we have to obtain the same number of credits for both majors? Is it possible to do so in 4 years? So, Mathura, thank you. That's an excellent question. To answer it, I think it's important to make a distinction here between double majors and interdisciplinary majors. So we have interdisciplinary majors listed on our website, like History and International Relations, Computer Science and Entrepreneurship. There are a few others, Politics and Society, English and Journalism. Now, to complete an interdisciplinary major, you have to take 16 credits. In effect, it's usually 10 credits, 16 courses. It's 10 courses from one subject, the parent subject, and 6 from the ancillary subject. So, for instance, English and Journalism, you have to take 10 English courses and 6 journalism courses. Double majors are different. And to declare a double major, yes, you'll have to complete 12 courses in each of your major subjects. So that means 24 courses total. Now, the obvious question at this point is, how do I take all these courses in the 4 years that I have? Now, 4 courses is the starting point. Everyone has to take at least 4 courses per semester. But you're allowed to take more. And many students who are going to be doing double majors will be moving up to 5 and even 6 courses per semester, especially in their 3rd and 4th years after the Ashoka quest. It's, if you do the maths, you'll see it's quite conceivable that you could do 6 courses per semester. That's a total of 24 total in your 3rd and 4th year, right? So 6 courses for those last 4 semesters is 24 total. In that time, you could do all the courses from each of your double majors. Now, things get trickier, though, if you plan to do a double major and a minor. chances are then you would have to extend your course of study from 4 to 5 years. And I imagine that there's some people who will do that. The same thing happens at American universities, where people who are looking to add all sorts of major specializations to their basic core general ed foundation requirements end up taking not 4 but 5 years over their degree. The major incentive not to do that is cost, because of course if you stay an extra year, that means an extra year's tuition and living cost. But certainly a double major is doable within 4 years. So I hope that answers your question, Mathura. Any more questions? Okay, I see here a question from Aditya. I think I may have answered this question in part. Sir, what if a student wants to pursue more than the stipulated course numbers for a semester? For example, if he or she wants to do 5 or 6 foundation courses and is willing to work hard. So for the first semester, we don't recommend this, because we think that the first semester is going to entail an enormous amount of adjustment. It's fine in future semesters, particularly once you hit your period of major specialization, to ramp up to 5 or 6. We think it should be fine even by the second semester for you to try 5, but we will recommend that you do 5 only if we feel you're up to it. There is going to be a large component of academic advising at Ashoka, and I should stress this is not academic control, but what we're trying to do is offer you sensible mentorship. We want you to come and talk with faculty before you register for courses in order to get useful feedback about what the most judicious course selections might be, including how many courses you should take a semester. So we're not going to allow you to take more than 4 unless you've consulted and received approval from faculty. And we'll have a fairly good sense after your first semester of whether or not you're up to the challenge of taking more than 4. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Aditya. I've got another question now from Shreya. Shreya from Bangalore. Hi. I see that you're interested in studying psychology, and you're wondering if there would be a psychology department and how many professors it would have. So we will have psychology faculty. For the first couple of years, we're not going to have departments in the traditional sense anywhere, because we're teaching just foundation courses in the first semester and primarily foundation courses in the second semester. That means that the vast majority of our teaching efforts are going to be concerned with those foundation courses that are helping you build breadth. In other words, we're not really teaching major courses at all in that first year. And we'll be having 1 or 2 faculty only in each of the subjects, and they'll be teaching the foundation courses. So I'm one of the English faculty. Professor Madhavi Menon is another English faculty person. In psychology, we're going to have a really extraordinary faculty. He's a visiting faculty from one of our American partner institutions, Carleton College, which is one of the very top liberal arts undergraduate colleges in the country. And his name is Neil Lutsky. He got his PhD at Harvard. He is regarded as one of the top experts in social psychology in the world. So he really is a remarkable scholar. He's also received a lot of teaching awards. So anyone who's interested in taking psychology will have this extraordinary opportunity to study with Neil Lutsky. Come the second year, you'll see that these little clusters of faculty, where there are just 1 or 2 faculty per subject, are going to be supplemented by other permanent hires, and it's in the second year you're going to see something like permanent departments being formed. So we've already got 2 psychology faculty lined up who will be joining us in our second year. And that's the point at which you would probably start to take major courses in psychology. The two people who we've got lined up, by the way, are, again, extraordinary. Both of them in the field of social psychology, but in very different ways. They cover very different ends of the spectrum. I won't reveal who they are just yet because they still not signed the contract, but it's more or less a sure thing. But one of them is very interested in counseling work. The other one is very interested in gender and the psychology of development in developing societies. So we're going to have very good people joining us in our second year. And in the third year, I mean, this is one of the exciting things about coming to Ashoka. Every year, we're going to be growing exponentially. So the first batch is going to get close mentorship from a faculty body of around 20. There'll be 20 faculty in the first year, including the faculty in the co-curricular courses. We have to double that number in the second year. We'll go up to 40. We'll go up to 60 in the third year. And by the time you graduate, there'll be 80 faculty. So this is a really exciting time, watching a university develop around you. And one thing I can assure you of is that as the university develops, the quality of the faculty we'll be hiring will be absolutely top-notch. The people who we've been interviewing, who've been applying to come to Ashoka, you wouldn't believe how good they are. These are people with degrees from Harvard, from Yale, from Princeton, from Oxford. They are the very top people in their field. Most of them are Indians who've gone abroad to study at the very best institutions in the world, and they felt they can't come back because the Indian education system is such a mess, and the way in which education is delivered is so problematic that they haven't felt that there is a dependable home for them here in India. Ashoka is changing all that, and so we've got so many people lined up clamoring to come back to India who will be joining us at Ashoka over the next few years. So I hope that's answered your question, Shreya. I see Anant. I'm glad you got your Nimbupani there, Anant. I recommended at the beginning that you all sit down with Nimbupani. I hope you're not sweating away. Here in Brisbane, it's a chilly 12 degrees. But in Delhi, I understand it was meant to get up to 47 today. So I hope you're all drinking lots while you're listening to me. Scrolling down now to see if there are any more questions. Yes. So this is from Samiksha. Hi, Samiksha. DU offers the first year as a foundation course and the subsequent 3 years as honours course. But Ashoka provides 2 years of foundation studies and 2 years of majors, so won't the depth be inadequate? Okay, let me explain a few things about DU, and I'll try and do it in a way that's polite and fair to DU. But I've also got to share with you the Delhi University curriculum is a mess. And that's largely because of top-down meddling by the administrators and the government, where they've tried to chop and change things without there being a great deal of consultation with faculty. And as a result, courses have been devised that just make no sense. Now, amongst the things that make no sense is that students had the option of leaving DU after their second year with a degree called the associate's degree. They can also leave after their third year with a bachelor's degree. Or they can leave after their fourth year with an honours degree. Now the powers that be, this tells you something about the rather backward mindset of the political administrators. I'm not speaking here about the parties, but about the people simply in administrative work. They have said that people will want to leave after 2 years because girls will want to get married. The assumption seems to be that girls don't take education in order to expand their minds or move into the workplace. It's just a time pass before marriage. So you can see if there are all these off-ramp options for students at DU at the end of their second and third year, before the 4-year program is over. It's very hard for the faculty as well as the students, to take seriously the intensity of the major course specialization. And I think what you'll find at DU is that many faculty have, if not given up, they're not taking very seriously what they're doing in the class. Now, let me explain why we've divided things up 2 and 2. Now, as you can tell, we are committed at Ashoka that everyone stay for the full 4 years. And in some cases, as we've already talked about, if you're planning to do a double major and a minor, you can even stay for 5 years. We want people to have that platform of foundation courses, not as a preparation for the major per se, but as a preparation for life. And I would add to that, I've already said as a preparation for life, but I'd add to that, as a preparation for being a thoughtful student who knows how to get the most out of their major. Now at DU, the kinds of foundation course you have aren't really foundation courses at all. They're basically general knowledge courses, in some cases general knowledge courses about Delhi, where you get flashcards that ask you to line up a picture of Connaught Place with the slogan, Connaught Place. I mean, this is the kind of thing that Class 2 students could do. Our foundation courses are altogether more rigorous. They're academically rigorous in a way that you won't find at DU. As you could probably tell from what I was talking about before, one of the USPs is that we really emphasize writing. It is crucial that all of you be able to develop as thinkers, and we don't think you can think if you're not reading a lot, and we don't think that you can think if you're not writing a lot. So you're going to be producing essays, you're going to be producing arguments in a way that you simply won't find at DU. And that's one of the big differences. Those 2 years of foundation are going to make it much easier for you, in fact, to be a successful student in whatever major specialization you choose, and to get the most out of the course as it's conceived. So I hope that answers your question there, Samiksha. Okay, I'm scrolling down to see if there are any more questions. And I'm not finding any here. There are a lot of remarks about full screen. I'm presuming I'm on full screen now, right? Yes, it seems to be on full screen. All right, so scrolling up. Okay, a bunch of questions have just come up. Can we finish a double major and a minor in a period of 4 years? I believe I've already answered that. It's going to be very hard. You can do a double major if you're taking 6 courses per semester in your last 2 years. A double major and a minor, no, is very hard to do in 4 years. You'd probably have to do that in 5, unless you were taking 6 courses every semester from from the second year. Actually, you could do it if you did 6 courses per semester every semester, not counting the Ashoka Quest. Question from Sarayu. Can you explain the possibility of doing a program short-term during the vacation time, during the program in the partner schools outside the country? When does it happen? Yes, you can do that. It's already a live possibility. Unfortunately, the deadline for doing it in the summer has passed. We've got summer program deals with Yale, with Harvard, and with some of our other partner institutions as well. But the deadline for that has elapsed. You'll be able to avail yourself of that next summer. Actually, this is one way in which you could conceivably add a minor to a double major and finish in 4 years. If you take a number of courses overseas during the summer and then take additional courses when you come back, you will be able to take the requisite number of courses for a double major and a minor to graduate in 4 years. There will, of course, be opportunities to study abroad for even longer than the summer, for a semester or even for a full year, but we're in the process of finalizing that with our partner institutions. Another question from Kshitij. Do we get to decide which sector we want to go to at the Ashoka Quest? The answer is Pardon me, bad plane cough that I picked up en route from Delhi to Brisbane. So the answer to the question, do you get to decide which sector you want to go with in the Ashoka quest? Broadly, yes. What we're thinking about is giving you experience in both social and corporate sectors, which will give you an opportunity to make an informed choice later in life about where you want to go. You won't have absolute choice over which internship you go to because, of course, we're going to have to be placing 350 students at a limited number of internships. So what we're going to do is get people to give us their top choices, and we will do our best to line you up with what we think is best for you in terms of your passion and interest. A question from Kshitij again. Can I do one major and two minors? Yes, you can. One major and two minors in terms of credit number is exactly the same as doing two majors, in other words, a double major. So you would have to take 6 courses per semester in your last 2 years, but it is doable. A question from Aditya. In the presentation, one point was a little confusing, the point about the teaching assistant. What exactly is the distinction between the professor and the teaching assistant? Okay, thanks for asking that, Aditya, because it is a very important question. And this is one of the ways in which Ashoka is very, very different from anywhere else in India, and even a bit different from the US, where there are also teaching assistants. So our basic premise is that teaching at Ashoka involves what we call a blended model of instruction, a combination of lecture and discussion. Now, foundation courses are going to be capped normally at 50 students. But what we want to happen is that for every 25 students in a class, there'll be one teaching assistant responsible for that group. So the professor will conduct classes with all 50 people at once. But then, on Fridays, to be perfectly precise, the group of 50 will subdivide into 2 sections of 25 each, and each section will be led by a teaching assistant. Now, the teaching assistant will be present at all the lecture classes too. The teaching assistant is basically a facilitator and moderator who will sometimes be helping with assessment of your work as well. But normally a teaching assistant is a graduate student who has specialized in your subject, knows something about the subject, but is closer to a peer in terms of age and experience. And we think that it's very important to have people who are closer to your age in the classroom as well, because we believe in peer learning, that a lot of the time questions that you feel inhibited asking a professor, you have no worries about asking a teaching assistant. You can take risks with a teaching assistant that you can't with a professor sometimes, because you're just fearful, well, he or she is the professor, how can I ask something like that and possibly expose my lack of knowledge? I would never sneer at you if you asked a question that showed that you didn't understand something. I'm going to encourage people to ask questions as much as possible. But you can often just feel a bit safer with a teaching assistant. But the discussion section is there to help you try out ideas in class that you perhaps haven't been able to try out just in the company of the professor. All right, a question from Ms. Satpathy. The mentors and founder members of Ashoka are great luminaries in India and abroad. Is there concrete structure in place which will enable the students of Ashoka to have regular interactions with them? Yes, there are. A number of the founders will be around regularly, especially in the first year. You'll be seeing a lot of the founders. We're going to have something called Founders Day, when founders will come to campus and talk with students, do workshops. Some of the mentors will come too. Let me add something though. You use the word luminary to speak about mentors and founders. And this is not to detract at all from their quality, because we have outstanding people amongst the founders and the mentors. But the luminaries you're really going to find, the world leaders, at least in their fields, are faculty. Many of our faculty, you may not know this when you take your first class with them, but they're not just highly respected in their field, they're world famous. So you are going to be working closely, intimately, with some of the leading scholars in English, in economics, in history, in philosophy, at a global level. There's no other university in India that can boast that. A question now from Ritika. In the main website, there's an option of entrepreneurial leadership as a minor. My question is, what does the entrepreneurial leadership course involve? So this is something that is still to be worked out. I'm sorry, Ritika. We're planning to have a center for entrepreneurship. Now, it's not going to be like a conventional business school. You may have noticed that Ashoka doesn't offer professional courses. We're not going to offer courses in commerce or accounting. Entrepreneurship we see as something more creative. It's an art, in other words. So entrepreneurial leadership is going to be more like the kinds of skills that you will be developing in the Ashoka Quest, where you go to various parts of India to think about real-world problems and how to solve them. But we'll be able to provide you with more information about that in the months to come. A question from Janavi. Will there be a minimum attendance requirement? Bilkul, ekdam. Is there any other way I can spell it out? I mean, we're not going to be... well, how do I put this? For the foundation courses, attendance is absolutely crucial because participation is a major part of your grade. If you're not attending, you're not participating. Now, we're going to be able to cut you a little bit of slack if you're sick, but you will have to provide us with evidence that you're sick for us to count this as an acceptable absence. But it's not going to be like Three Idiots, where people turn up to classes once a semester and then think that they can just mug up answers for the exams. It doesn't work that way at Ashoka. As I've been suggesting right from the word go, at a university where we don't really believe in exams and we believe in continuous assessment, it's absolutely vital that you turn up regularly, and you turn up in such a way that the professor knows who you are. We do not want you to be anonymous to your professors. It's, I think, scandalous. At DU, I've seen this happen over and over again. Students go through their entire programs and they never know a single one of their professors. It's partly because they're not coming to class much, but it's also because professors are teaching groups of 500 students. How can a professor get to know students in classes that size? That's why we have much smaller class size. But the quid pro quo is that if you come to a small class, then you have to attend, okay? A question from Oritro. Can you please talk a little more about the accelerated maths courses and when and how students can take them? Also, how the courses would be different from normal courses. So we're still talking about this, but Aritra, I think I talked about this on the Facebook page, but let me address everyone here. One thing that is a bit different about Ashoka is that there isn't a step-by-step sequence that is absolutely cast in stone for people to take courses in. So there aren't designated first-year courses in maths, second-year courses in maths, and so on. Instead, there are courses that are generally designated lower-level courses and other courses that are generally designated upper-level. One can technically take an upper-level course without even having taken a lower-level course, provided it's on offer, that is. And what we want to do is allow students who are perhaps a bit more advanced or accelerated to push themselves a bit more. Now, in the first couple of years, this is going to be difficult because of simple course availability. With only 20 or so faculty, there are only a certain number of courses that we'll be able to offer each semester. But yes, you will be able to take the courses you want to take, for the most part, when you want to take them. A question from Mathura. Is it possible to take journalism as a major on its own, even though it's only offered as part of an interdisciplinary major? Mathura, I'm sorry, at this point, no. Just taking journalism on its own would be the equivalent of a professional major. What we're offering is something closer to what in America is called media studies, which is an integrated academic rather than professional program, in which journalism is speaking to literature, culture studies, film studies, and so on. So at this point, there's no pure journalism program. Question from Pooja. Will the credits from our foundation courses be included in our major or minor? No, they won't. Everyone has to take the foundation courses, and they will count simply towards the credit burden for your degree as a whole. But the major and minor courses, they are separate, okay? I'm looking for more courses, more questions. Anant, if we take a major course in the second or third semester, but then decide after that we do not want that major, are those courses wasted? No, they're not. They still count towards your electives. There are 4 courses. You can do whatever you want with. You can experiment. You can try out a major course of study. You can try out a minor course of study, but that's entirely up to you. They won't be wasted. They'll still count towards the undergraduate degree as a whole. From Aditya, the question is, are there any plans to include more options for minors? Yes, we will be adding not just minors, but also majors in future years. Right now, we don't have pure sciences. We hope to offer majors in physics, chemistry, and bio probably by the end of the second year. And I imagine that we'll be offering majors in many other courses as well, including Indian civilizations. There'll be a ton of minors coming up too. A lot depends on the faculty that we hire and what their specializations are. I'm hoping that I've got just about everyone here. Oh, there are a few more questions. We're now at 3:32, and I don't want to stray too much over time because most of you have committed just to an hour. I'll try and answer 3 more questions here quickly. One from Ritika. If there are no exams, then how do you assess the development of students? In fact, there will be exams. It will depend on faculty. Some faculty will set exams, some won't. A lot of it will depend on their inclination, but also what best suits the subject. But how will we assess the development of the student? Every course will involve a large writing component and a participation component. There'll be assignments, there'll be projects, but you will be from day one, and this is why we want you to take just 4 courses in your first semester, no more than that, because it's going to take a lot of getting used to the Ashoka study lifestyle. You can't simply turn up to classes with half a mind and then at the end of the semester crank up into gear. From day one, you're going to be working hard. You're going to be asked to write essays. You're going to be asked to produce projects from the word go, and they'll be part of the assessment for the course. A question from Ms. Satpathy again. What exactly will be the collaborative programs of Ashoka with other prestigious colleges? How does the credit systems work? The credit systems are going to have to be worked out on a case-by-case basis because different universities use different credit systems. But we have collaborative programs with UPenn, Carleton College, University of Michigan in America, and we're about to add others with the University of Berkeley at California, the Yale University, and the University of Maryland. We have partnerships coming up in England with Somerville College at Oxford and King's College at London. We have a partnership in France with Sciences Po University. We're investigating partnerships in other parts of the world, including in the larger SAARC region of South Asia. And I'll tell you more about that if you come to Ashoka, because only then will we have worked out these specific partnerships. These partnerships will allow you to do different things. Study abroad, that's the most important thing, but also have access to study abroad students from those universities who will come to Ashoka probably in the 3rd and 4th semesters. Also, they'll be visiting faculty from some of these universities, like Professor Neil Lutsky, the psychology department, will be coming from Carleton College. We'll have from Rutgers University, a top research university, Martin Lin, Professor of Philosophy, and there'll be many other professors coming in from these universities. All right, I think that we're close to ending up here. In the first year, asks Janavi, many teaching assistants will be present. If so, how many in comparison to the 20 faculty? Well, we're going to be hiring 14 teaching assistants, each of whom will teach 3 classes per semester. So there'll be many more faculty than there'll be teaching assistants, but we're also going to have a group of people we're calling writing tutors, whose job will be primarily to work with you individually in our Center for Writing and Communication on your essays to help you develop the skills of communication, argumentation that we think is very important. So, kuch aur. And in answer to someone's question, bilkul ji, main Hindi bolta hoon. ठीक है? Yes, Kshitij. I think we've just about done all the questions here. So I'm going to now say goodbye to you. Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure to speak with you. It's a little bit strange speaking from Brisbane here to all of you. But I hope that I'll get to see you in person, and that means I'll get to see you as well and hear your voices. In the meantime, I know many of you are still to make choices about which institution you're going to go to. Don't hesitate to ask me questions. You can send me questions by email. My email address is jgharris, that's jgharris, at ashoka.edu.in. So, agar kuch sawal hai, please, puchiye. I'll be happy to answer by email. You can also go to the Founding Batch Facebook page and ask questions there. So it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and I'll look forward to meeting many of you very soon. So goodbye from Brisbane. Hope you're not sweltering in the heat of Delhi and the rest of India. Drink more Nimbu Pani, and all the best from Ashoka. Take care.